Hello and welcome back to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Eric Herlock, and I've got quite a show for you today. I'll be talking to Kelly Burke from Kifcure in Maple Park, Illinois, where she and her husband Jarett are building the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub. We'll find out what that's all about and all of the cool hemp initiatives that they've got going on over there in Illinois. I will also be checking in with cover crop coach and my farmer friend Steve Groff. We've had a lot of hot, dry weather lately here in southeastern Pennsylvania, and I want to hear how his hemp is faring. So all that plus news nuggets and a few surprises. And now, a few words about our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you with generous support from IND Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. IND Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company that's bringing new opportunities for farmers in Montana and across the Mountain West. Check them out at indhemp.com. Today's show is also made possible with support from Forever Green, distributors of the KP4 hemp cutter. Setting a new standard for harvesting quality, speed, and efficiency, the KP4 prepares hemp for ideal retting and easy on-field tedding, raking, and baling. Easy to maintain and designed to withstand the punishments of hemp harvesting. The KP4 hemp cutter, available only at hempcutter.com. And a quick shout out to our friends up there in Massachusetts, Impactful Ventures. Check them out at mpactfulventures.org. All right, hello and welcome back. So here we are, it's the last week of June 2024. Today is June 26th, which also happens to be my anniversary. Today is my 20th wedding anniversary, so happy anniversary, Heather. Love ya. Are we ready for the next 20? Anyway, that's not the news nugget you're looking for. There's a lot of discussion right now on the interwebs about this think tank in Washington that now says that the Miller Amendment, it's fine. It's fine. So the Congressional Research Service, the CRS, Congress's primary think tank, said the amendment, which would shut down widespread distribution of unregulated intoxicating hemp products, would not affect CBD and other non-psychoactive natural compounds derived from the hemp flower. All right, so there you go. There's a bunch of these stories out there right now about this think tank. I'll put a few links on the show page for you. Like there's one that says, think tank says Miller Amendment would not ban CBD. There's another one that says, hemp killing amendment would not ban all hemp cannabinoids, says leading think tank. New congressional report finds hemp amendment consistent with ag policy. So yeah, there's a lot of discussion right now. And it makes sense to me, right? Like I still think industrial hemp needs to be just regulated and handled differently than cannabinoid hemp. And I would argue that maybe cannabinoid hemp should just be called cannabis. And let industrial hemp be the thing that we make stuff out of, right? Like, wouldn't that be sort of linguistically convenient? Think about that. And I apologize to all of you people with cannabinoid hemp businesses. I don't know. Anyway, another news nugget here. This one I see at mgmagazine.com. The headline reads, Industrial Hemp Market to Surge to $25.7 billion by 2034. Billion with a B, right? And yeah, and they're talking about industrial applications here, right? So I'll have a link to that story. And I will point out that my very first interview for this podcast back in the summer of 2018 was with Jeff Whaling, who is currently the chair of the National Hemp Association. He said that then, that this industry is a $1 billion industry. So yeah, thanks, Jeff. All right, another story here. Speaking of Canadians, here's one that says Canadian hemp fields shrink for the fourth straight year, reaching modern day low. What's going on there, Canada? I'll have a link to that. You can read all about it. I'm just skipping through these today, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. All right, another headline here. This is on SouthDakotaNewsWatch.org. South Dakota, #1 state in the nation for hemp production. No surprise, right? But what was a surprise lately are these floods in the Midwest, in South Dakota, in Iowa, in Minnesota. This is terrible news. It's devastating. This is, let's face it, this is climate change in real time. So there's a lot of stressors in the world right now, a lot of uncertainty. I know in my own personal life, there's a lot happening sort of in the background of this show that, you don't really know about, but maybe you can hear it in my voice. I'm under a lot of stress right now. Let me just tell you what's happening here briefly. About a month ago, our landlord told us that she's selling the house and we can buy it if we want, but we have to be out by the end of the summer. And the real estate market is insane right now. Prices are really high. Mortgage rates are really high. It's very stressful. We're trying to buy this house. If we don't, I don't know what's going to happen. So that's sort of the background noise of what's happening right now. And I'm telling you that really just if you've noticed that I'm not as focused or things don't seem to be quite right now. I am doing my best. All right. And I am just, I have faith that everything is going to be okay. There's a sign that I pass on my way to work that says, whatever lies ahead, God's already there. And I'm just going with that. So anyway, that's what's happening here. That's probably more than you bargained for in the news nuggets. Oh, and I thought I'd just mention this. I don't often talk about it, but music is a huge part of this show. I enjoy making the music for it. If you ever listen to the credits, I credit Tinbird Shadow with all of the music, but that's me. I make all of the music. I've been making music for years and years and years. So if you want to learn more about Tinbird Shadow, how you can support Tinbird Shadow, or maybe how you could license some music for your audio or video project, go to tinbirdshadow.com, and there will be links to music and to the Patreon page and all of those things. So, all right, what else? Well, there's a lot going on, as I mentioned. So rather than bore you with the details of my life, let's go talk to Steve Groff. Steve Groff, cover crop coach, hemp innovator. Welcome back to our show. How you been?
Well, it's been good. We're right here in this hot, dry weather here in southeastern Pennsylvania. So, anytime I can find shade or air conditioning is appreciated.
Yeah. So you've been on the show a bunch of times before. I am assuming that our audience knows, who you are. But can you just briefly describe your farm in southern Lancaster County for us?
So yeah, southern Lancaster County, southeastern Pennsylvania, for those who really want to know where the general region is, farm 200 acres. And we have vegetables, heirloom tomatoes, pumpkins, and squash, about 50 acres of those vegetables, small grains, and hemp, industrial hemp. So This year, we're going to plant some after small grains. We'll probably end up with about 80 acres of industrial hemp this year.
Okay, that's awesome. Last time you were on the show, you told me that you had 50 acres in the ground already. And and I saw some of that when I was out at your place a couple weeks ago when the governor of Pennsylvania was there. That was a cool event, but we'll talk about that another time. Yeah. So the hemp I saw looked great. I think it was maybe up to my shoulders at that point. But since then, we've had like a week of scorching temperatures, hot, dry, no rain. So I'm curious how this has affected your hemp. Maybe is it all shriveled up and yellow, or maybe have you been out there irrigating? Tell me how that hemp is, Steve.
Well, first of all, I don't have irrigation for hemp. I save my little water I have for my heirloom tomatoes. But the hemp is doing well so far. I think the tests will come in the next week. There's very little chance of rain. Here again, we may hit 100 degrees here on the next couple of days. So we'll see. But one thing I can say that, I've been threatening to write a book called Everything I Heard About Hemp Was Not True. But the whole thing about hemp and being able to be more drought tolerant, not drought resistant,
Right.
drought
There's a difference.
tolerant,
Yeah.
it's true. And most farmers would compare it to corn. So in comparing to corn, hemp does use less water. Hence, it will do better further along into dry weather. And I can see that already. And it kind of makes sense because corn, when it's living, is roughly 85% moisture, percent moisture in the plant.
Yeah.
That's corn. Hemp is more like 50% moisture. So it doesn't have as much water in the stems as corn does. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's a scientific justification, but it makes sense to my farmer brain.
All right.
But to answer your question about how our crop looks, yeah, we have some that's looking great and some that's not looking as good as I would like. And that is all a reflection into some of the things I try here are some people would call cutting edge, try to see how far I can go in planting into cover crops and no-till, which I do everything that way. But
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. That's my next question.
Cover crop growth, cover crop species. I tried a new planter this year, which I think I would have to say right now with mixed results. So yeah, we're learning.
Yeah.
As we all are in this industry, I think everybody can agree. The more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know,
Yeah.
and that's why I like it because I like discovering things.
Yeah.
And I would say too, there is a difference in varieties. We do have a variety test plot that people can come in August. We're having 2 days. We can talk about later sometime.
Yeah.
August 21st. 21st will be here at my farm.
The Lancaster Hemp Circuit. Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
I've
talk
been
about
talking that up on the show the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, but that test plot's looking really good. And I will just say that seeing the different varieties in that, comparing them to one another with the same day, same planting day, same everything, there's dramatic differences. We actually have one variety that did not grow. It's probably less than 10% germination. And
No kidding.
my son David said, should we replant that? And I said, no, that's part of why we're demonstrating this, because this is just the test plot. And it just like that variety did not grow. And what I'm doing actually is I test all my seeds when I get them. I do my own little simple germination test. You just put it in a paper towel and some water and put it in a Ziploc bag, and don't Ziploc it, but just lay it in your desk or somewhere. And
that's how I pre-sprout my peas when I plant my peas.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a simple test because we're so new in this industry that, seed companies do not have any reputation because there just hasn't been enough years to get a solid reputation. Mm-hmm. When you buy wheat, corn, soybeans, if there's something the matter with that, that's a major issue. We take it for granted. The seeds are always good. That is completely checked out before they ever leave. And I can't say the same for hemp yet. The quality control, that starts in the field of production, by the way. I know we're getting in a tangent here, but I'm just saying, fast forward to the day, we have seen some differences in different varieties. There's definitely varieties, and I use the word finicky, that are just, they may, when we talk about corn hybrids, we talk about racehorse hybrids, meaning if conditions are ideal, they are going to be the best yielders. But if anything happens, they might be the worst yielder. And I think that's what we have in hemp now. We're trying to tease out some of these varieties that may be good elsewhere for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just geography, sometimes it's soil type. And again, my no-till conditions are if you don't, it can be more challenging if the seeds weren't bred for that. Right. And here's a great example. Back in the 1980s and 1990s, when I was growing corn and no-tilling corn, I had to be very, very particular that I got the corn genetics at a good early season emergence, strong emergence. And because not all varieties emerged as well in the tougher conditions of no-till and with cover crops. Well, fast forward to today, all corn and soybean varieties are made for no-till. And so that's not even a question. We don't even question that anymore.
Right.
So I see in the future, the same thing is going to be for hemp. It's going to take time to get this developed. And I'm actually testing some varieties here that are brand new. And I don't want to name names yet, but some of it's looking pretty impressive, but looks are nothing until yield. So that's why I don't want to put anything out there until we take it to yield, and then we can make assessments. And we'll be doing that on August 21st here with some of this stuff. So
you're sourcing seeds from a few different companies and probably a few different geographic locations.
Yeah, Australia, China, France, Hungary, and U.S.
Okay, cool. And so, I mean, I always think about you're planting into the cover crop, and then you crimp it. You've got that roller crimper, and then you come along with the seed drill and you put it in. And then, so you're saying like those seeds have to work a little extra harder for the emergence, right? To get through not only the topsoil, but then to sort of push through the cover crop.
It's a fair statement, a fair assessment. And we're finding out that, for instance, I'll just go back to any farmers who are listening to understand this. Soybeans are easier to grow in a no-till cover crop situation. They're now, when they emerge from the ground, having some cover crop biomass there, they work around it and they grow up through it. Corn, on the other hand, it doesn't like any competition. There's something about a little corn plant that when it, pierces, pierces through the soil, if it, like, I'll just say sees other things right around it, it just doesn't like it. And so we've learned that.
Yeah.
Now with hemp, it's a smaller seed, and you could argue that it's tougher to grow up. But here's the thing, Eric. Some of these varieties are pretty good, but not all of them. And that's where I have to tease out which ones work in my situation. I'm doing some pretty, again, cutting edge things where we're just planting through with the planter, and the cover crop's mature enough, and then literally I didn't even roll some of it. And again, I'm just doing this in small acres. For me, small is like half an acre. And some of this is looking pretty good. We actually no-tilled right into alfalfa for an organic neighbor that I have here. And so he can't use any herbicides at all. And so we did a test on that, and the jury's still out. But right now, that's going to be interesting to see how that works. We did a small test last year, and it worked pretty good. So we're doing it again this year, and we'll see what happens.
That's cool. When you're talking about like the corn coming up and looking around and whatever, it's like that to me speaks to the miracle of life, right?
Yeah.
Like plant intelligence. Like this world is so complex that there's so much we don't understand. And you have this front row seat to see the miracle of nature and the intelligence of plants. So that's cool.
Well, Eric, I'll just comment on that. You hit the nail on the head, and this is what helps drive me, because I feel like we as farmers have lost the art of farming. We've turned it over to the experts and the companies that sell us stuff. We've kind of relied on them because, over the years, they've done a good job. But the farmer knows his field better than anyone. And so I want to bring the art of farming back, that farmers understand that you need to get out, walk your fields, and observe. And, my tagline that I like to say a lot is stay curious and keep learning. And, that to me is what I do. And to observe all the time. What are the nuances that you pick up? And some farmers are more astute to that than others. But I'm going to say, in the context of all of agriculture, we have lost the art of farming. And that's to exactly what you said there, of the wonders of nature and how everything is so intricate and works together. And once we understand that, we can be better managers.
Right. Yeah. Something I think, and I talked about this with somebody on a show last week. It's like we have, I think in the 20th century, it's like we as humans, whatever we're like, we can dominate nature. We got this. Yeah. We can make nature work for us. And now it's like, no. Yeah, so we have to work within nature, and that's what I love about your regenerative practices and your cover crops is that you're, I've heard you say it many times, you're mimicking nature, like what you see in a forest, you see the leaf litter and all that stuff, and that's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, Steve, thank you for what you do, and I love that. Stay curious. Let's pick up on these topics in future conversations, and I'll see you there August 20th and 21st at the Lancaster County Hemp Circuit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, thank you for taking my call today, and I know you're busy.
You're welcome, Eric, and as always, I appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a service to the world with hemp. So
well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, Steve is doing a great service in the world for hemp too. I really love, talking to people and hearing about what they're doing and how people are working together. That's sort of the spirit of the American hemp industry from my perspective, the spirit of people working together to build something bigger than ourselves. And, along those same lines, let me introduce you to Kelly Burke, because that's what her and her husband Jarett are doing. They're building businesses, they're building teams, they're building connections. It's amazing to see all of the things they have going on there in Illinois. So anyway, let's go talk to Kelly Burke. Kelly Burke from Kifcure. Welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Eric. I'm really excited to be here today.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you're here. So we've met each other a few times in person at NOCO over the past couple of years. And this year, you and your husband Jarett and Kifcure were sponsors of some of the events at NOCO, right?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So I wonder first, just can you give us an introduction?
Sure, yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Burke. I'm COO at Kifcure. My husband Jarett and we founded the company in a 2017-2018 timeframe, just before the Farm Bill passed. And I sort of have been along for the ride, watching this business sort of develop and transform and evolve throughout the years. But yes, COO at Kifcure, and now launching a series of other things that all sort of lend to Kifcure's initiatives.
That's awesome. And we'll talk about those things today. So you're based in Illinois, is that right?
Yes. I'm located in Maple Park, Illinois. We got our start in Chicago and quickly outgrew our 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in the West Loop of Chicago. But my husband was born and raised in our area where we are now. So lots of friends, family, and resources here in Maple Park, Illinois.
Okay, yeah. Classic startup story, out of the bedroom, but then you outgrew that and you're just growing the business.
Yep, just kept growing and growing. We started out with one of our early events being very impactful long-term with a lot of relationships. But Jarett spoke at the Cook County Farm Bureau before the Farm Bill passed. And I was sort of there taking pictures. And at that time, there were some people on the panel that still play a big role in our lives, like Philip Alberti. He was at U of I, now he's at UW-Madison. And a friend, Randy Miles, who's down in Florida now. And just a series of people who still play big roles, and things have just evolved so much since then, when we were sort of telling people what they should expect when this thing, the Farm Bill, might incorporate this hemp, and it's going to probably pop off here soon. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much success depends on relationships, right? And the people you meet along the way, and how you weave the tapestry together with people.
Yeah, 100%. And I think pretty much our whole business model sort of surrounds that concept. And yeah, I mean, I think even in leading up to this conversation, you said something to me that was impactful, that I think another guest you had on your show had said to you once before, but that it's amazing what doors will open for you when you walk your path. And I think relationships sort of accompany that. And Jarett's really been such a mentor for me in the whole relationship, and he's a great salesman. So he sells through curiosity, and I feel like that's just totally triggered my perspective on business and on life. And a lot of that just has to do with cultivating strong, long-lasting relationships. So
yeah. I mean, I know that's what keeps me super interested in the hemp industry. I mean, obviously, yes, I want the hemp industry to succeed, and I want to pull carbon out of the skies and all of those things, but just the people that I meet and the bonds that I've been making doing this, it's rewarding on a level that I just never anticipated. So I'm grateful for that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about me. We're talking about you. On last week's show, I mentioned in the news nuggets that there's a hempcrete workshop that you are hosting there. And by the time this episode airs, it will have happened already. But right now it's this week, right? It's this.
It is. It's Thursday and Friday. And I actually prepared. We just got a bunch of our things printed. I know everyone can't see it, but I have it here so that I can make sure to give credit to all the sponsors. And
we can put a picture of that on the show page too for the episode.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's talk about. We'll talk about the workshop, but first let's talk about the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub. What is this and where did it come from?
Okay, so yeah, thank you. So the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, kind of spiraling off of what we just mentioned about relationships and cultivating those. We've pretty much always focused on providing resources to manufacturers and processors. Regardless of being on the extraction side or on the industrial hemp side, we haven't really changed our model. So working with farmers, selling genetics, providing resources. Well, as you scale up into industrial hemp, you need a lot more space. And the resources that you need are larger in size and volume. So we set out and we bought our first farm that ultimately has now turned into our Emerald Acres facility. And then as we were able and time allowed and infrastructure and relationships allowed, we were able to purchase another piece of real estate that can truly house everything that we're trying to accomplish with the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub. So
all right, sort of like a campus, like a hemp campus.
Yep. Correct.
Cool.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So a campus, a hub, where we want to have one vertical up and down the supply chain, not to compete with one another, all on the same premise. So multiple businesses up and down the supply chain, starting with a decortication company or processing company, then different post-processors downstream. We do have some rules like minimum throughput requirements and things like that to be able to feed the other people on the park or hub, where ultimately we aim to be sort of the role model location for policymakers, education, innovation, to pretty much all take place on one site.
Okay. And forgive me, my geography of Illinois isn't super great, but where are you in the state? Like I can picture Chicago and I can picture the bottom of the state, but where are you?
Yeah, we're 50 miles west of Chicago. So we are basically where country meets suburbia. So it's definitely a unique selling point that we are in a huge farm area. Kane County is a really big farm area, but we are basically bordering suburbia. And when we picked this plot, we looked at Kane County's 2040 plans for infrastructure and growth, and we fall just about a mile outside of where they're planning to develop over the next 16, 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a good location. That way, the way you describe your area sounds like where I am in Pennsylvania. It's like where the country meets suburbia there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So the Illinois Hemp Hub, are you connected with the Illinois Hemp Growers Association? Because I know Rachel Berry has put that together, and she's out in Princeton, which is a little maybe further west of you.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a hike, but definitely throughout the years we've become friends. She is participating in the hemp building workshop, and she has just been amazing to work with. I accompanied her group out at Lobby Day. Man, Rachel's just so awesome. She's spearheading so many amazing things for the industry, and having a resource and ally like her, she's so well spoken. She's become so connected in our industry, and I've definitely grown to love her more and more every day. So
cool.
Yeah, very lucky to have her in our life.
Awesome. And how is it working with your Department of Agriculture out there in Illinois? Are they supportive?
So we have a great relationship here locally in Kane County, where I spend a good majority of my time. I am a member of the Young Leaders Group here with the Kane County Kane County Farm Bureau. Kifcure is very vocal and involved in our local Kane County Farm Bureau, and our Kane County, board of directors. I would say locally, we're very much involved. The further away we get from local, the more I lean on Rachel. But we do go to lobby day, meet with, we had meetings with 13 state reps when we were down there. They certainly know us. Whenever a senator is at the local library, we show up, we make face. But I would say primarily we're really focused on our local initiatives. Meanwhile, really pushing for things at the state level as a group and a collective, because I think we're louder when we're all together. But I also know there's lots of people, particularly in Illinois, that are trying to speak out. And we do want one unanimous voice. And I really believe in what Rachel's pushing. So I would rather be a strong supporter and show up with her leading the charge than to sort of have multiple messages coming at multiple angles,
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yep. And that sort of describes the national landscape of organizations, right? There's like a lot of different voices saying similar but not always the same thing. And that can be problematic, but we'll see how that goes.
And, I thought it was really interesting when you were doing your interviews out in Prague and how they talked about really just having a primary voice for the hemp industry and then a primary voice for the cannabis industry and a primary voice for this. The U.S. is very interesting, and Illinois is very interesting. And so I feel like people get pulled and there's lots of different agendas going on. And as you pointed in one of your other episodes recently, you mentioned like some of the people on the board of one are possibly on the board of another one. And it's just like multiple messages coming from all angles. And it's just so interesting.
That was the interview with Courtney Moran. She was talking about how some board members on like cannabis associations are also on the board of the hemp associations and how there might be some conflicts or whatever. She encouraged listeners to do some digging because there's some things to be known there, I guess.
Yeah. So all in all, I guess we're very active. I think we're very involved and they know who we are. I don't necessarily push a special agenda. Everything that Rachel is pushing for, I pretty much support. And she seems to ask for guidance and support when needed. And then, ultimately she is looking at it as a whole where I would say we are primarily pushing a lot more for industrial hemp. So any narratives or emails or things that I put forth are really just to say, hey, this is the Kifcure priorities, and this is a little package that, really reflects what Rachel is pushing. But ultimately, we're industrial hemp focused.
All right. Well, let's talk about the workshop. So what does that look like? You have instructors coming in, you've got some projects, do you have people signed up already? Like, tell me all about it.
Yes. So this all actually came together pretty much at NOCO. We got the crazy idea to put this workshop together, and I'm just floored at how amazing the collective group of individuals that have come to the table to support this initiative has just turned out to be. I don't want to forget anyone, so I'll look over this direction, but one of the first people, and I have to give a huge shout out to Danny from the Lower Sioux Indian community.
Yep, Danny DeJarley.
So just before NOCO had taken place, I had a call where I sort of threw the idea out. Jarett and I and the team had pondered over it and thought it would be a great idea. There isn't really a first permitted structure in Illinois, so this one will be the first one that we're doing at this workshop. So
first permitted hempcrete structure.
Correct.
Yeah,
in
cool.
the state. So we were, I was listening to a lot of your episodes. I was hearing about things going on in other states, and I started looking into it. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that we really didn't have anything here, and threw the idea out to Cody Lay from Hemp for Humanity and Rachel Berry, who we've been talking about. And they thought that this would be a great idea too, and basically signed on. And once I had their support, I knew ultimately we could carry this out, just the three groups, we could figure this out. Cody's got the background and had just won his seat on the U.S. Hemp Building Association board.
Oh, cool.
so had an opportunity to vote for him and Ingrid Fay during that.
Oh,
and
I met
then,
Ingrid out at NOCO. Yeah. Hi, Ingrid.
Yeah, and so at the show, I was basically going booth to booth, seeing who would be interested in participating or attending, and who might have more knowledge and experience with executing these. And so really started putting together a list of people sitting in some of those amazing presentations. And ultimately, one of the last presentations at NOCO was a hemp construction based
Yep.
one. It was hempcrete based. And so Danny was one of the presenters in there and connected with one of our team members, Alex, and gave him a call. And for everyone else was kind of like, yeah, I'd be interested and let's figure it out. I might be interested. He was basically like, let's do this. Yeah, no, I'm 100% in. Yeah. I've built a bunch of homes at this point. Let's do it. Yeah, I got all the resources. I got the spreadsheets. We got this. Yeah. And after I had this phone call with him, I feel like I called Rachel and Cody and I'm like, guys, I found somebody who's got all the stuff. Let's do this. Like, I just got jazzed. And he really just got it all flowing. Like, he got the momentum going, and he's so good spirited. And I quickly found, even though he is extremely busy, and I didn't realize how busy he is, he somehow found the time to really sound so calm, cool, and collected on these calls. And the more I started telling people who was involved, and I added in Danny, and I had Cody, and I had Rachel, and then people were like, okay, well, yeah, I guess now I'm in. I'm officially in. And so it sort of spiraled. And now, I'll have to even count, but we have such an array of people. And some of the things that we wanted to do is just be so impactful in our area, because this is the first one. And being that we're so close to Chicago, 50 miles away, there's massive infrastructure here, and there are huge contractors. And, the whole premise of the Hemp Hub also is the fact that, we're in an area with some of the most fertile ground in the entire country. We have some of the best soil here. We are a huge, agriculture state, but we have massive infrastructure. And the more and more we kept looking into it, and we had put together some grant proposals and things like that talked about, remediating the soil and, keeping runoff from going in the waterways and all this kind of stuff. But utilizing those materials for something that is long lasting and can continue to be a carbon sink. And, obviously there's so much going on about hemp building. It was a perfect fit. And we always wanted this for the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, but ultimately we have to build a lot of this out. And this is the first one in Illinois. We're the first one.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. And so, we have a lot of contacts in the construction industry. And so started putting together the marketing material slowly but surely, just putting little things out and getting more and more people that were interested in participating, and some amazing sponsors that have come to the plate. And one of the big things that we wanted to have for this workshop in particular was, how do we draw in these larger groups? How do we gain that credibility? And so when U.S. Heritage came to the table and decided that they were going to jump in and participate, that really was an amazing feeling, because they could bring that AIA CEU credit so that architects and building professionals could get continuing education. And I know that locally, because of our relationship with the Kane County Board, that was something that definitely, I think, impressed some of the board members enough to be able to start marketing this for us. And I advise you guys in the future, anyone who wants to do a hemp building workshop, to go ahead and ask your local county board for guidance and support, and tell them sort of what maybe your intentions are, because they have been a huge resource as we've gone through the process between getting the building permits approved, all the way to them even asking architects that are in their network to go ahead and check out what we've got going on, and sending out, some information about it. So
cool.
I would say that was definitely super helpful. And I think it pulled together a lot of resources that I didn't even know were possible. throughout the process.
Nice.
Because he simply asked. And
Yeah.
I think that was cool. I don't know if anyone else if every other group does that, but it's a good idea.
Cool. So do you have like a framed structure now that on the workshop everyone's gonna just start packing the hempcrete in? You're going to do a cast in place, or is Danny going to come down with his E-Reezy spray machine and spray it?
Yeah, it is framed out. We had JM Construction Pros, Gustavo, who is involved in sustainable building. He's really been the main local contractor doing a lot of this, and him as well. You know, he's been amazing throughout this whole process. It's his first time, and he's really the main lead guy framing, and his team putting a lot of this together, him signing off on all of the drawings and everything. And it's fully framed out. And we have, I know they're about 75% done with the roof today. We got, you know, it's Tuesday and this is launching on Thursday. So we're like in the final countdown. But yeah, it's framed out. We're going to be doing cast in place, but there will be demonstrations throughout the entire workshop because it's basically from 9 to about 4 o'clock.
Okay.
With breaks for presentations and stuff throughout. We have plenty of time in between to sort of showcase different things. We are bringing U.S. Heritage has locally some prefab walls that are kind of built in different ways. We'll have some blocks here. We'll be demonstrating different things. I'll have to see if Danny's going to bring the sprayer. I hope he does, because I know that it's got, you know, it's already R-rated and got all the things that it checks all the boxes, and, you know, has kind of gone that direction. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just thinking about what it would take for him to bring that with him. He also needs like an air compressor, and but who knows? He's a miracle worker, that guy.
He really is.
Yeah. He's built more hemp houses in the past year than anyone else in the country, right? That's an exaggeration, but close.
I know. And I'll just call him and he'll answer. And then he'll have a leisurely conversation with me. And then he'll be like, okay, I gotta go. And I'll find out that he's on some awesome job site, putting up some cool structure with the most amazing team. And I'm like, you didn't need to take the 15 minutes to chat with me.
He has a good heart, Danny. I got to know him a bit out in Colorado, and I guess it was the Thursday or Friday night, Cameron McIntosh and I were invited up to have fry bread dinner with Danny and his tribe up at their Airbnb. And that was just an amazing experience to get to know them and just to sort of be part of the family for a little bit. So that was super cool, and I cherish those memories. And then he was here, a few weeks after that for one of Cameron's workshops. So I got to spend a little time with him here, in my home place. So that was cool. So yeah.
Super cool. With U.S. Heritage and Tiger Fiber having spent time, I know they've done some projects over in the St. Louis, Missouri area. And them having that relationship was also really cool, because when we got on our group calls and everything, a little bit of camaraderie. They already kind of have been on the same team before. And we actually, I was binging a bunch of your episodes, as I mentioned to you on the phone before we got started. I was binging a bunch of your episodes on the way back from picking up a bunch of the herd. And Jarett's out getting the lime from U.S. Heritage right now.
Nice.
So it's all
coming together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So do you have any idea of how many attendees will show up?
Yeah, I think so. Ultimately, what's going to take place is there's about 50 that are going to be participating, and it actually aligned kind of how I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be about 40 or 50 people that were going to be there, working on it, and then we would have some transients. And I think we're going to see a rotating 75, where we'll have 50 that are really, 40 to 50 that are really hands-on. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have about, I would say, a rotating 25. I think we'll see over 100 people that are there over the course of the 2 days. I did that. So for university students within applicable disciplines, policymakers, and press, I basically told them they get kind of like a visitor pass. They can't get their hands dirty, but if they can if they want to. They can register, and we can figure that out. But as far as having them kind of come by, the whole point is to educate the building community and to educate policymakers and to show that this is a viable, feasible, sustainable, regenerative alternative.
Right.
It's
Right.
just so many things. And I feel like on all these calls, I get so excited because we're so passionate about the industry that, and I know in every other industry, you know, everybody's got a product that does everything. And we know that this plant can truly do all these things. But for a lot of people, even super duper smart people, they're still very skeptical. And so really one of the main intentions of this event was to educate them about, like, this is for real. You can actually do this. We're building real life infrastructure right here. We already have the resources today for, you know, we have about 1,000 acres. We have about 1,000 acres planted this year.
Oh, wow.
So we're definitely the biggest grower in Illinois, probably in the Midwest. And so, like, come fall, we will have the resources available for things to begin now. So it's not like it's coming. We bought the big property. We don't have the on-site decortication, but that's okay because we have customers like Tiger Fiber, like a bunch of decortication companies across the US that are able to buy this, and you know, we have POs now. So there is already the sale of all the product we have. We actually we have buyers for all of it. And at this point, our job, and I kind of outlined this in sort of some of the things I've shared with you in the past, but you know, the biomass supply to our decortication partners, our processing partners, post-processing partners, sales, marketing, and distribution of the products, and building out all of these different, I guess, consumer markets.
Right.
Yeah, these offtake agreements is really where we've focused a lot of energy before we got started, and building out a lot of that, you know, a lot of those buyers locally, and giving all of these decorticators that maybe are successful where they're at an opportunity to, you know, then we're not losing our butt on transportation, and neither are they. So down the road, ultimately having that strategic advantage and bringing them on site. So we're looking for partners that are looking to maybe expand. A lot of the people that we're in discussions with, not everyone, but a lot of them are companies that are already successful in the hemp space that want to have a place in the Midwest. And so even if that means storing volume of their materials locally, you know, having a bunch of insulation and a warehouse of all kinds of building products here locally, down the road, maybe we can add in their manufacturing lines here, but building out local post-processing storage and all that for those clients is really where we're aiming to be a true resource. But ultimately, the farmer is our direct client and main focus. So equipment, you know, farm services, tractors, you know, harvesters, balers, all that kind of stuff is really where we focused, and then on the offtake agreements.
Okay. So you said you have about 1,000 acres planted now. Is that substantially more than you've grown in the past?
Oh, way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year we did a little less than 200 acres, so it's quite a bit more.
Yeah. So tell me about, I mean, are you and Jarett farming this, or you're working with farmers nearby?
We are farming a little bit.
Okay.
We have one farmer partner. His name's Jason, and he comes from a big farm family around here, and he's done a good majority of the planting and stuff with us. And we have with him probably, well, we have 50 right here. I think we have another 20 or 40 elsewhere of like stuff that, you know, is kind of like what we're growing. It's not all on our land. But and then we contract the rest.
Right.
Either leasing, we have different options, but we do have contracts with all of our growers. And if they don't want to take on the risk, then we'll lease the land. We have people who want to plant it.
Okay.
And we have turnkey farm solutions. So if they want to do some of it, great. If they want to do part of it, cool. If they want to do all of it, that's great too.
Nice. And obviously they're involved and they want to be involved. So the farmers are excited about this new opportunity?
I think we've got them excited. At NOCO, I met her before NOCO, but there's a woman, Carla, who has some really exciting preliminary data from a study that she was doing down in SIU. And it has to do with the amaranthus varieties. So common water hemp is a huge weed here locally, and polymer amaranthus. And so those two, she's going into the 4th year, and in 3 years on a multi-farm study, she found an 80% reduction rate in those two weeds that are really primary, what most corn and bean farmers locally are spraying for, on the herbicide side. So I think that was really enticing because a lot of the big farmers that we're working with are corn and bean farmers. And so by telling them that we can potentially mitigate some of their need for herbicides down the road if they incorporate this as a rotation crop was in something that they liked. And then
Sure.
being able to tell them, we're in an ideal year, I think, as well. Corn and beans are very low comparatively.
Oh, that's what I wasn't sure if you meant weather-wise or price-wise, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So we had a great landscape this year to ultimately be successful. And I think a number of factors came into play. Obviously we've been working really hard to sell the dream and put together the infrastructure. But I think with our community engagement, because of our experiential marketing arms with Emerald Acres and the Silver Spur, as well as just participating a lot with the Farm Bureau and going to all of these things and participating within the community so much. I think we're gaining a lot of momentum. And the farmers that worked with us last year, we sold out of their crop within 2 months of harvest. So it was pretty much all gone. And we kept the 1 truckload for this project. And ultimately, so all the herd from the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub's building workshop is locally grown. So we did get a little bit from South Bend Hemp. So yeah. Shout out for that.
These panels are South Bend Hemp here behind me.
Cool. Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, just been trying to be as vocal as we can, holding these, we do these hemp grower informational series webinars where we've brought on some amazing guests. Some of them you've had on your show as well. Bert James, I know you had your meeting with Hannah, so I was just listening to your Hannah episode, and just numerous amazing characters that we've had come on the show or come on our webinar series to help growers, understand what they're getting into, ask questions, and being able to have these, they're not just webinars, they're in person as well, where they can come, they can ask questions, they can talk, they can figure things out and hear from experts. So it's not just us, and just ultimately trying to be a resource. And cool. A lot of them this year decided they would throw in a 50 acres to try it out. And let's just see how it goes with a little 50 acres, see how it goes. And next year we'll expand. And, that happened last year. And those farmers said, hey, it went well. These guys at least did us right the first year. They seem like nice enough guys. Let's go again. Let's try this again. And each of them expanded. So that's been, I think, the biggest piece of it all is the community telling each other, right?
Right. And without farmers, there's nothing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a couple different things there that I want to ask about. And I guess I sort of know a bit about it, but I want you to tell me about Emerald Acres. Like you have an event space, right?
Yeah. So we have a hemp-themed private events venue. And here we host industry events and really showcase a different view on hemp. So I actually brought a couple of props here, but we have our hemp straws. These are 80% hemp that we showcase here. Our hemp paper is 100% hemp paper menus that we have here at Emerald Acres. We showcase microgreens and like the sprout powder. We have the hemp hearts, At the building workshop, we'll be making some hemp pasta. And really, we're just trying to show people that there's more to hemp than CBD. And so both of our facilities, both of our experiential marketing arms aim to really just pull people in enough with things that are very normal. And even like all of the, when we serve food, I ask all the food trucks to try to use our hemp disposable, like to-go lines. These are the hemp clamshells. They're 50% hemp. And so, ultimately, we're just got cups. Anyways, the whole point here is to show them there's more to it. Because when you say we're a hemp-themed private events venue, they're expecting like pot leaves on the walls and then they come in here and they're like, wow, this place is really tasteful and beautiful, and I could have a wedding here, or this is a place that I would it's very welcoming and nice.
Have you hosted any hemp weddings?
We have.
Yeah?
We have.
Tell me about a hemp wedding.
Well, we have had some besides our own, but Jarett and I will talk about ours because we did have our wedding here just before we bought it. So we had a 2-year lease to own on our property that's now Emerald Acres. And we got married here, and we took a bunch of our pictures in our hemp field. We did variety trials for University of Illinois, who's also participating in the workshop and presenting. We got DK Lee coming out, as well as Dana and Gabriella, who are as research assistants.
Okay.
And we've done variety trials for years and test out the different rows. We irrigated a field and have the different rows. And we took our pictures out there and held our wedding here and, spent time to manicure the landscape. And people said to me throughout the whole event, this was just shortly after COVID, and we got married in 2021. And they're like, you guys should really think about doing this here. And I'm like, we're pretty busy with our hemp dreams. Like, I don't know if I could take that on. And they're like, but seriously, you should find someone, you should hire someone, and you guys should do this here. This is like beautiful.
You hadn't even considered using the space as an event space. You just had your wedding there. That's awesome.
We just had our wedding here because, it was special to us and we were building our future. And I figure if I'm going to drop a bunch of money on something, I might as well invest in my dreams, right? Let's put it into our place and try to step it up a notch.
Yeah.
And we did, and people were impressed. And really, when it came down to it, we had a couple of events that we held here, and I got that same feedback each time. And so I sort of said, well, Jarett, let's see if somebody else thinks that maybe everyone's just like saying that. Maybe everyone's just saying that. I'll just, we'll test it out. I threw up a couple ads on Facebook, made a social media and a website. We have our Raspbit, our marketing agency. So marketing's pretty easy for us. And kind of put together like, the face or the shell of the business and thought about design and making it beautiful. And I threw it out there. I got a couple walkthroughs and they literally like all closed. And I'm like, I guess we got a business now. I'm going to file this LLC. We're going to get this baby started.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I do want to ask you about Kifcure. All right.
Sure.
So what is Kifcure? Because that's sort of like the thing that you're launching everything else from, right?
Yeah. Kifcure is a farm services and total hemp solutions provider. So we are pretty much providing a robust suite of services, products, and resources to community, businesses, and farmers, growers, producers.
Okay.
Pretty much everything from real estate. I mentioned farm services, which encompasses equipment, genetics, all things farmer, grower, producer, offering tenants and strategic partners storage for biomass supply, which is a lot when you're talking about industrial hemp. So where are you going to store millions and millions of pounds? We got that, and that's a challenge that even big producers have trouble with. So that's a huge one, is storage, and then community engagement and sales. I talked a little bit about Emerald Acres, and I didn't mention yet much about our Silver Spur property. but the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub is nestled with a large horse boarding facility. And so the Silver Lining is the name of our animal bedding. And when hemp feed is finally approved, go Hemp Feed Coalition, we'll do the animal feed as well. And pretty much all things animal go into our Silver Lining brand.
I love that name. That's such a great name for that. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Right? Well, having the Silver Spur being the name of the property that we acquired to do the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, it got us thinking about leveraging the name, trying to create synergy. And I'm like, Silver Lining, hemp, it's the silver lining. It's perfect. So yeah, it worked out. And I do really love that name. And Rasbit did a great job with the branding. It's very approachable, versatile. So super excited about that. And at the Silver Spur, we board about 50 horses. We have a 30,000 square foot indoor arena. So we are an influencer in the space. Wow. Hosting we do big shows and clinics for horses, and the horse community comes in. And attached, besides Emerald Acres, we also have the Silver Spur Saloon, which is where we'll be doing a lot of the presentations for the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub. So the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub already comes with a turnkey full bar and restaurant and a large horse boarding facility. What makes this property especially unique is we also have a creek that runs through it, which is an offshoot of the Kishwaukee River, where we're able to do a lot of R&D projects. So that's, I kind of alluded to that earlier in the discussion about our ability to go after grants. And that's just what we're about to do.
That's awesome. I guess my one question is, how do you have enough time for all of these things?
I don't know, but I did start realizing that I'll do what's on my plate. And the more we kept putting on our plate, the more I started to think about the fact that it's all about the who and it's not about the how. And that we need to start investing into quality relationships, which Jarett has always been so amazing at demonstrating for me through the course of my, professional development. And he instilled that in me early on, that we don't need to do everything and that we need to find great people that we trust. And it's all about a community. And you don't build these types of dreams by yourself. And the minute you think that you can do that is the minute that nobody will follow you. And so I think more than anything else, we have, and I'm not just saying this, we really have the most incredible team. And I really press everyone who listens to this episode to reach out and try to engage with us, because whether you're talking to Alyssa or, I'm not going to name everyone within our organizations, but we just have the coolest team, and they're all so smart and multi-talented, and all of them come from a past with different backgrounds. Like Andrew, he leads one of our businesses here, and in his past life, he was an architect. He got carpal tunnel, and he couldn't do the CAD drawings anymore. But when I needed an architect, I said, hey, Andrew, I'm doing this hemp building workshop thing. Will you, be my architect? And, we happen to have a chemist on staff who has a huge history in hemp in his background. It's like, I just don't know how these amazing people have just stumbled into our world, but that's probably the best part. And we couldn't juggle this many things without having a core crew of super competent, reliable people that are just amazing. I'll leave it at that.
That's awesome. So if I was, a business somewhere out there looking for, a place to set up shop in the middle of the country, this would be a good spot.
This would be a great spot. Quality of life is awesome. The group here is amazing. And ultimately, we're trying to make this happen.
Where do people find you?
Okay. They find us at either www.kifcure.com. You could call us at 855-Kifcure, or you can email me directly. You can email Jarett. Sales@kifcure.com goes to all of us.
Okay. I'll put all of that contact info on the show page for the episode, so people can just go to lancasterfarming.com and click and find you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. we're looking for partnerships. We're looking for people to come together, and we're ultimately looking to work for them. You know, we want to leverage a collective to win grants. We want to leverage a collective of individuals to spearhead new innovation. And we really, really want to continue to grow a super cool, down to earth, approachable team that that's sort of leading in the space. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. One final question, Kelly. You ready?
I'm ready.
Why hemp?
Why hemp? Well, hemp is a huge carbon sink. And one thing I didn't really mention is that at this workshop, we also have a special guest. I talked about her in my presentation at NOCO, but I'm a very proud aunt. My niece, Hannah, she is one of the future youth. She's a young American girl. She is getting her driver's license just before the hemp building workshop. And she did a project where she actually did utilize the U.S. heritage. And she did a science project at Lane Tech High School. And her project was about compression strength of hempcrete when utilizing different binding agents. She is a rock star, won first place at her high school as a freshman in the science fair, went to regionals, won first place or gold medals at regionals, went to state, got gold medals at state, and
Wow.
We'll see what happens next. But ultimately, why hemp? Because we can create a sustainable tomorrow, and we can solve a lot of the world problems that ultimately there's not a lot of other great solutions. We can sustainably regenerate agriculture locally, build a circular economy. We can save our soil, our air, and our water through this plant, and do so much good in the world to bring local infrastructure and resources to just get back to focusing here and focusing on the future for young America.
Kelly Burke from Kifcure and the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub. Thank you so much. It's great to talk to you today. Thank you for sharing all that with me.
Thank you for this opportunity, Eric. I really appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Kelly Burke from Kifcure and the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub. I'll have links to all of those various endeavors on the show page for this episode at lancasterfarming.com. But that does it for me. I have miles to go before I sleep. Lots to do. I know you do too, but I really appreciate you spending your time with us here on the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. You can always reach out to me if you've got questions or comments or concerns, or you just want to say hi. You can send an email. Send it to podcast@lancasterfarming.com, and I'll get it, and I'll smile, and I'll write back to you. Yeah. All right. So, in closing, I guess, this is we're moving into the second half of the year. This has been a big year for me. Last year was a big year for me too. I'm just super excited about everything that's happening. I am hopeful. I am, as you know, a determined optimist. And yeah, I am so grateful for all of the opportunities in my life and for all of the connections and the people. And it's humbling to think about it all. So anyway, I'll just leave you with that. So thank you. My name is Eric Herlock. I'm the digital editor. I'm the senior digital editor at lancasterfarming.com, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. Yeah, you won't be disappointed. Get a subscription to our print edition, sign up for our newsletters, peruse our content, and read about all sorts of stuff, from farming to homesteading to country life. We have it all at lancasterfarming.com. All right, so from here, I'm going to wrap things up, get this thing published, and then disappear for a few days, headed down to the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, to spend some time on the beach with my wife. So, until next time, I'll see ya. This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2024 by Lancaster Farming newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show is written, recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Herlock. The music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.
Not for me, not for me.